It's almost been 9 years since Fallout 4 has graced our consoles and computers. After all that time, you'd think that everyone would have already experienced all there was to see in the Commonwealth, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The fact is, Fallout 4 is a large game. Even 9 years later, you're still going to find things you never knew before. And today, we're going to do just that. Here are 10 things you probably didn't know you could do in Fallout 4. Number 1. Hidden Stealth Mechanic. Despite there being just as many stealth mechanics in Fallout 4 as there were in Skyrim, far fewer people opt for stealth builds. And who can blame them? Arenas are either sprawling arenas that have dozens of enemies crawling around, or corridors so small that you can barely move. But because of this, many people are unaware of a new mechanic that Bethesda added in Fallout 4. Sneak up on enemies and double-tap the attack button, and your character will brutally snap the neck of whoever was unlucky enough to be in front of you. Bringing a knife into the mix will do more or less the same thing. The only difference is that instead of snapping necks, you're going to be surgically inspecting their voice box. Number 2. Buy Brahmin. Don't let the state of the wasteland fool you. Despite atomic annihilation, the world's still here, and the new backbone of society is the Brahmin. These two-headed cows are the mules of the new world, and if you weren't already aware, Brahmin can be an excellent source of fertilizer. Not only is this component essential in making all sorts of goods to give back to society, such as grenades and jets, it also makes a great material to sell raw. But there's one problem. How does one get Brahmin? Well, the answer to that is typically by building Brahmin cages, which are expensive and cumbersome. However, a great way to start your ranching empire is with a vendor called Kelly. Kelly can be found traveling the roads of the Commonwealth with a prized Brahmin in tow, and for the low price of 100 caps, that Brahmin can be yours. Simply purchase the Brahmin, send it to your settlement of choice, and begin your journey of becoming the Brahmin Baron of the Commonwealth. Number 3. Close the gates. We all remember our first visit to Diamond City and witnessing the grand opening of its gates before everyone decided to throw security out the window and leave it open for the rest of the game. They might as well throw in a red carpet and a flashing neon sign that says, "Please raid me," so there's no ambiguity. But if this is too immersion-breaking, or you're just worried about the good people of Diamond City, then you can just close the gates yourself. All you have to do is equip some power armor with a jetpack and fly on the city's roof, just above the gates. From there, simply go to one of the yellow bars holding the gates up, and you'll be able to close the gates, securing the city from any imaginary raiders. However, I wouldn't recommend doing this in survival mode, as you'll have to constantly fly back and forth to open and close these gates. Number 4. Call for help. During the quest in Sheep's Clothing, the absolute arse of a Mayor McDonough is revealed to be an even greater arse than previously expected, when it turns out that he was synth all along. Instead of trying to make a break for it or use his silver tongue to get out of danger, McDonough opts for the most aggressive approach possible by locking himself in his office and holding his secretary hostage. To make matters worse, Danny, a member of Diamond City's finest, is found clutching a gunshot wound in his abdomen and rapidly inching closer to death. It's left to you to either give up a valuable stim pack to save his life or leave him for dead and get on with the quest. While the latter option will let you keep an extra stim pack, it'll make you an even bigger douchebag than the synthetic mayor. But things don't need to be so complicated. Despite the game never telling you, there's a third way to complete this optional objective. Since you're already in the most civilized part of the Commonwealth, it's a no-brainer that you can find someone who knows a thing or two about human anatomy. Simply go to Doc Crocker before making your way to the mayor's office, and you'll be able to tell him about Danny's situation, to which Crocker will head over to and treat him. Alternatively, if Curie's with you during the quest, she can put all the medical knowledge that comes with being a Miss Nanny to good use and administer treatment herself. All the while, you get to be labeled as a hero while keeping your precious stim packs. Number 5. Receive a gift from a super mutant. Of all the types of people you'd expect to be generous, I doubt a super mutant was topping your list. But if that's the case, then you'd be dead wrong. The Far Harbor expansion added a lot to the base game, but something people weren't expecting was Erickson. You see, Erickson isn't your average mutant. Unlike most of these hulking green brutes, Erickson began to develop a moral compass, and the cruelty his comrades caused to humans became too much for him. He eventually escaped from his gang and fended for himself as a dog trainer and merchant. Naturally, he has a soft spot for the canines of the world, so much so that if you bring dog meat with you on your next visit, Ericsson will throw in a bandana free of charge. Number 6. Kill Finn early. For a desolate wasteland, the Commonwealth is brimming with friendly folk. Sure, almost everyone and everything is trying to kill you, but the number of civil-minded and trustworthy people is a little surprising. But even amongst all the good, there are a few bad eggs. Case in point, Finn. Finn seems like a nice guy at first, but that's quickly revealed to be a charade made to siphon caps out of your pockets. First, he offers to be your bodyguard, then threatens you into paying an insurance fee before Hancock lets Finn and his knife get to know each other. But upon a second playthrough, we already know what kind of a man Finn is, so why not skip all the BS and get rid of the guy from the get-go? Well, you can do just that. Before you even talk to him, just light him up with your weapon of choice and watch as his health bar goes to 0. Hancock will even commemorate you for showing your dominance. Everyone also must have hated Finn's guts because nobody seems to give a lick when they're scattered across the floor. Number 7. Building secrets. Love it or hate it, building is a cornerstone of Fallout 4's gameplay. But while I'm in the group that enjoys this mechanic, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't at least a little clunky. However, there are some neat little tricks that Bethesda kept under wraps, which can make building less of a chore and more of an outlet of creativity that it was meant to be. Some of this mechanic's glaring issues begin to show their colors when it comes time to switch things around a bit. Typically, moving items around would involve picking everything up individually and carefully placing them in their new place. But what Bethesda doesn't tell you is that you can actually group select items together. Simply get 2 or more items to be touching each other and hold down the select button. Then watch in awe as all the connected items move all at once. I'm not sure how this underwent my radar for so long, but it certainly made walling off Sanctuary slightly less painful. Number 8. Shoot grenades with VATS. If talking your way out of life or death situations were Fallout New Vegas's meat and potatoes, then the same would hold true for Fallout 4 shooting. It feels like every third step you take, there's someone or something trying to relieve your body of its limbs. That being said, it's not like there isn't an entire arsenal of weapons and methods for turning your enemies into piles of red goo. One of the more hidden methods requires a specific scenario to play out. During one of your combat encounters, wait for an enemy to throw a grenade your way and enter VATS. If you time it right and have good enough luck, then you can blow the grenade up before it even leaves your enemy's hand. Just be sure to be far away from the person in question, as Fallout NPCs have anything but self-preservation. Number 9. Recruit Skara. While most players didn't side with the Institute, they certainly didn't come into the place guns blazing, right? Well, if you were to do that, then you'll obviously be locked out from doing any quests or reconnaissance inside the secret society. This may not be a problem for those that decide to go the independent or railroad routes, but for the Brotherhood of Steel, things couldn't be any worse. This is because of Dr. Lee, a recurring character from Fallout 3 and a key player in the development of Liberty Prime. Without her, the communist-hating Iron Giant would have been nothing but a pre-war relic. But now that the Brotherhood wants to revive this Goliath, Dr. Lee's expertise is vital, so much so that they're willing to work with her despite defecting. That being said, if you've made enemies with the Institute, then you'll be locked out of talking to Lee for the rest of the game. And that begs the question, who's going to work on Liberty Prime now? Well, you should side with the Brotherhood and be enemies with the Institute. Then the responsibility of Liberty Prime will fall into the hands of Professor Skara. Originally, Skara is found working at the Science Center in Diamond City, but with these specific conditions in place, Skara will be the one to be recruited into the Liberty Prime project instead of Lee. And finally, number 10. Silver Shroud Secret Quest. Most players would expect the Silver Shroud's dialogue to only exist within the fictional character's quest, but unbeknownst to most, Bethesda went above and beyond with making players roleplay as this hard-boiled detective and opened many new opportunities if you're simply donning the Silver Shroud's fedora and coat. While we already went through some of these in previous videos, one encounter that was unexpected can be found in Yucca World. Head to Dry Rock Gulch and speak to the town sheriff, who happens to be a Protectron. From there, you'll begin the quest High Noon at Gulch, which involves clearing out bloodworms, dueling robot cowboys, and serving drinks to 200-year-old skeletons. What makes this quest stand out is that it can be completed in its entirety in the role of the Silver Shroud, and doing so is worth it for the dialogue alone, as the Silver Shroud dialogue has the same cadence whether you're facing a bloodworm queen or serving drinks to patrons.
Subscribe to Fall Damage, you Vault Dweller.